Hi, and thank you so much for tuning in for your September Written in the Stars Horoscope. I'm Madeline if we haven't met before, and if you're back, thank you so much. So, this month, astrologically speaking, we've got some pretty big shadow aspects to work with. Pluto, the planet of power and transformation, will finish up his retrograde this month, going direct on September 28th. So that means that this month, because he's the planet of, the underworld, of secrets, of death and rebirth, it's a perfect month to really think about uncovering and unpacking uncomfortable truths or things that you've been hiding from yourself, especially if they've been keeping you resistant to doing what you feel that you need to do, or that you've been kind of resisting a necessary evolution. Pluto is all about getting intimate with our fears and our desires, and he shows us that doing our shadow work really keeps us from doing shady work. So to hear more about what this Pluto direct aspect is doing for you, you can check out your horoscope on my blog, writteninthestars.co. So this month, as usual, I'll be doing your horoscope, a story of your month, followed by a fiercely focused spread to give you some really concrete action steps to take to make the most of the month. I really appreciate you. I hope if you like this video that you will like it, and subscribe if you want more, and I hope that this gives you a really magical month and a beautifully resonant reading. Now, without further ado, on to your reading. Hey Gemini, how's your September going? I hope it finds you very well. Sorry, Spirit's already breaking in. So I always meditate and pray about your energy beforehand, and Spirit keeps giving me, wow, this guy popped out while I was reading you. Oh my god. Okay, I was about to say they keep giving me applause. I wish I'd said it before I showed you the card. But they have been giving you applause. So a lot of you in the month of September or very recently have done something very, you've gotten accolades, you've gotten a chance to kind of, just like the image kind of shows, parade yourself. You've received some accolades and some appreciation this month. I'm totally getting ahead of myself. So that's happened just recently for some of you all, and for some of you it's coming up. And it's a result of a lot of hard work. So they're definitely giving you congratulations on that. Okay, so let's see, Gemini. What is Gemini, wow, need to know for their highest good in the month of September? What do they need to know about for their highest good, always for their highest good? Gemini. Gemini Sun, Gemini Moon, Gemini Rising. What do they need to know? Okay. Gemini. Gemini. And there you are, Gemini. Queen of Swords, air sign. Love it. And you can definitely be a male Queen of Swords, BT dubs, if you haven't been here before. Okay. Gemini, Gemini, September 2017. What does Gemini need to know this month, Spirit? Their highest good. Highest good. Wow. Whew. And funnily enough, Gemini, you're the third out of 3 signs to get that card, no matter how much I shuffle. Here we go. And of course, it could definitely have something to do with for the fact that, low-hanging fruit, but it is September, back to school for some of you, literally. Gemini, one more for Gemini, please, for September 2017. Okay. Okay, Gemini. Well, I love that Spirit definitely followed up with the fact of applause. That is a wonderful thing to see. Especially, you can see it's right here next to the Magician. So a lot of you are getting some support, some affirmation that the skill that you're working on, this idea that you have, this thing that you've been kind of crafting and coming along with and kind of find yourself fascinated by, is what Spirit is saying. Definitely has legs. It's definitely worth your time. And I feel like some of you are going to experience a milestone this month with regard to it. Like noticeable progress, a sense of having leveled up, really. Like I've built this foundation. Or, okay, this phase of the project is complete and now I can move on to the next one. And it's really a moment where you get to kind of step back and go like, oh, nice job. I'm also feeling that for some of you, it's about looking into gathering your team together. And for some of you, it may be specifically a trio. So these are, of course, general readings, Gemini, for every Gemini, Sun, Moon, and Rising. So some of these messages are going to resonate more than others. But please take the ones that resonate with you and understand that those that don't are for other Geminis, because Spirit gives a lot of messages since this isn't like a one-on-one or a personal reading. Okay, so for some of you, like I said, it's about gathering the team that can help you make this happen. Like you, and Spirit is saying that for those of you for whom this applies, it's like you already have them in mind. A lot of you, like a couple of people spring to mind where it's like, oh, if we could just work on this thing together, or I know that if we put our heads together, we could get this thing off the ground and built. I feel that for some of you, that comes together, and for others of you, it is a struggle. It is a struggle, and for some of you, you actually come to the realization in September that, like, hey, you know what? Maybe I am a solo act. So like I said, Gemini, that's interesting, but these are general readings. So it's like for some of you, and those of you for whom that applies, you're going to know it. It's like, look, I tried to have a team, or like, you know, we tried to do this movie, or we tried to do this project, or this, like, this channel or this podcast or whatever, and you know what, it just didn't work out, so I'm just going to kind of chalk it up to that and know that I'm the magician. I'm the magician, and what I think about and what I put my effort into can work wonders. And it's really interesting. We have the magician followed by his natural next chapter, the high priestess, the 1 and then the 2. The magician is about manifesting. Like, I have this idea, and I'm going to make it happen. I'm going to bring it into from heaven to earth, you know, as above, so below. And the magician has all these resources, all the 4 elements of the tarot, the cups, swords, wands, and pentacles. He has them all. You have everything that you need. Now, September for some of you, there's a gestation period. There's a period of reflection, of, okay, you know, some of you have just had these accolades or this like celebration of a milestone of a project, and then it's kind of time to reflect. Trust your intuition, Gemini. That's what Spirit is coming through with very clearly. You know, trust your gut. Trust what feels natural. You know, it's such a cliche to say follow your bliss, but that's the truth. If you are struggling and struggling and struggling for something and it's not giving you any joy, that's when it's time to stop. Because it's okay to struggle for something when it's like, let's say, you know, you're an actor and you're living in Los Angeles and you're waiting tables and going to auditions, and it's an exhausting life, but it's exhilarating because you're exactly where you want to be, then that's cool. You know what I mean? If you are working a full-time job, but you're side hustling on your nights and weekends instead of having a social life because like you have this dream, but it makes you happy, then that's great. But if you're slaving away on something that hasn't been giving you returns and you're not enjoying yourself, please don't feel compelled to keep doing it. It doesn't make you a quitter. Like, the finest generals know the value of a retreat when things aren't working and when they need to regroup and rethink things. So please don't have any shame or guilt about, at the very least, taking some time to sit back and reflect on, like, okay, what do I want to focus my energy on, and what should I really kind of, okay, so Spirit is giving me this image of like the way that when you plant, let's say like you plant herbs or any, you know, you farm something. You can't just let plants grow wild, or else, you know, the root structure can't support all of like the leaves and branches that, let's say, like a basil plant starts growing. Like you have to trim them, you have to prune them, or you have to cut them back in order for them to actually be healthy and flourish, ironically. So for many of you Gemini, you know, it's in your nature to think about a lot of different things, to have a lot of different interests, to kind of be like jack of all trades, master of none, which is what this is. And it's like you have many skills, many talents, and that's what makes it a little difficult. Like, well, which road do I choose? I want all these things. I think all these things are interesting. I'm fascinated. I want to know more. Well, in this moment, it benefits you to focus and kind of channel your energy in, let's say, 1 or 2 directions rather than 5. Like, what are my, you know, 2 favorite of these 5 projects or things that I am interested in creating or doing? And let me narrow it down and then put one foot in front of the other. Like, okay, what are the steps? How do I get there? The Queen of Swords is the queen of the battlefield. She's a general. She's a strategist. She cuts through the crap. She's honest. She's experienced. And that's you this month, Gemini. She's the queen of the air element. And of course, like I said, you can be a male Queen of Swords. Court cards have nothing to do with gender at all. It's more about personality type, and the Queen of Swords is a creator. So again, many of you have creative gifts that you want to share, things that you're working on putting out into the world, and you're being celebrated for it, I feel, this month. I feel you have a receptive audience. You have support around you. Many of you are either in or experiencing like a wonderful sense of community this month. And for a lot of you, it could be those classes that you take. And nowadays, you know, luckily we live in such a wonderful age. If you're, you know, able to access YouTube, then you can even do things like take online courses. So even if you never meet certain people face to face, you can still develop these relationships with them because, oh, we both have an interest in this class that we're taking, or this community that we're a part of, you know, this group on Facebook or whatever, where we're all learning, you know, to sew at the same time, or we're all learning how to like code at the same time. Really lean into that. Really get inspired by the drive and the direction of other people, because you've got it in you, Gemini. You've got it in you. It's just a matter of, you have this way of, as they said, kind of scattering your energy in a lot of directions sometimes, because it is all fascinating to you. So that's a wonderful quality in many ways. But like they said, if it's like, you know, if you picture the power of a wave, and if I split that wave into, you know, if I take 100% of a wave and I divide it into 10 waves, the power of each of those waves is going to be dramatically reduced than if, you know, it came in at 100%. I'm terrible with math. I'm so sorry. That was like the worst ever. But you know what I'm saying? Like the power, when you divide it up, is dramatically reduced. And if you decide to put your focus in just a couple of directions, Spirit is showing incredible progress. Incredible, like, fulfillment, an incredible sense of, man, look at how far I've come. But I am seeing that for a lot of you, it is like, oh, I'm tired. Like, crap. Like, yeah, this is awesome. I've definitely laid a good foundation. I feel like I'm getting a better idea of where I'm going. But wow, like, this has been tough. Some of you, Spirit is saying, have been doing some fighting. And they are showing me, like, relationship, like, arguments, you know, being in the presence of people who are arguing. Just kind of like, oh, yeah, like, I just want to turn down the heat a little bit in here. Like, does it really need to be like this? I'm feeling a little, like, battered, a little bit tired. And no wonder that that feels, you know, particularly overburdened when I can see that you're working hard in other arenas of your life. When your personal and your work life are both, you know, like you're kind of carrying heavier weights than normal, you do feel tired. So a couple things, though, about that. One, this is why Spirit is telling you to lean on your community, to lean on the people who really you feel that vibe with, that chemistry with, like we just click, you know, they support me, and particularly like they support my goals, my efforts, my passions, my spirituality even, because this can be about religion. This can be about, like, I'm seeking a spiritual or religious group to align myself or to relearn or to reinvigorate my practice. And spiritual can be so many things. And again, general readings, Gemini. So for some of you, it's literally, like I said, education. Like, I want to learn how to draw, and then I'm going to take this class, and these people are going to be, like, working toward a similar thing. Or I'm going to join this graphic design, like, aspirational group on Facebook and look at what all these other people are doing and take cues and offer feedback and get value for giving value. There are many things that you can have in September. The really important thing for you is going to be choosing which ones you want. Because the ground is fertile. You've got wonderful potential. And the beauty of getting a reading is, like, okay, like, if I like the way this looks, let me go with it. And if I don't like the way this is turning out, let me pivot now. And I see for you that this is very fertile ground and you don't want to waste it, kind of scattering your thoughts and energy. If you do take that time to focus, that one weekend or that one day to kind of clear your schedule and sit down and really just think about what are your priorities and what makes you happy, and how then could you structure your time and your life to actually reflect those priorities, I'm feeling the results are magical, one might say. Forgive me the pun, Gemini. I can't help myself. Okay, so now let's look at your Fiercely Focused spread. Let's see what Spirit has to say about action steps and the theme of your month. So if you haven't been here before, Gemini, this is a quick 5-card reading where I pull cards for the theme of your month as well as what's going on in the 4 elements. So earth, meaning money, work, health. Air, your thoughts, what are you thinking, talking, writing, and speaking about? Your emotions, your heart. Wow. Okay then. And your creativity and your spirit, lastly. So this first card is the theme for Gemini in September, what they most need to know for their highest good. Same card, different deck. End of chapter. That's what this is all about. It's all about, what do I really want? What do I really want my life to be? You know, as they say, you only live once. I think that's debatable, but that's neither here nor there. The point that Spirit is trying to get across, though, in this moment is exactly that. Like, this is my one life. This is my one chance. This is my one choice. This is my only September 2017 that I'm ever going to have. This is my only month at this age that I'm ever going to have. And, you know, if you're in the Northern Hemisphere, we're moving into fall. It's that kind of melancholy and beautiful. I mean, it's my favorite season, but there is something kind of melancholy and nostalgic about fall. It's, you know, it's the death. It's the beginning of the death of the vegetation. Then, you know, we head into winter, and it's the rebirth. So death always precedes this rebirth. That's what's coming in September. If you so choose, of course, Gemini, because tarot's not fatalistic. It's like, are you ready to really embark on a completely new adventure, a new way of living your life? No one's going to die in that sense. It's not about a physical death. It's about, you know, the phoenix comes from ashes. So there's a real opportunity to say, you know what, I'm completely recalibrating my compass this month. Like, I can recognize and acknowledge that X, Y, and Z things that I'm doing right now are not actually serving those priorities, like Spirit talked about, like sitting down and getting clear about that, and then thinking, okay, do my habits support these goals? Because habits are what get us to goals, ultimately. Goals and dreams are wonderful, but you need steps to get there. So are you ready for that? Are you ready to live a new life? That's the question for you in September. Fertile ground, like I said. Wow. Jeez. Okay, so here's what Spirit wants to talk about for you in the earthly realm, because they were really ready for that, and I had just said fertile ground. Rebalance. For some of you, this is like literal your finances. You need to balance your budget. That could be very much a part of those priorities. Where am I putting my money? Am I really, you know, when it comes to my priorities, am I putting my money where my mouth is? What do I need to do? Do I need to be debt-free? Do I need to buy a house, so save up? Do I need to go somewhere in order to make my dream come true, and therefore I need to set up this account so that I'm always putting money toward that? Where is it that you need to move your money around a little bit? Give that a lot of consideration this month. And also, I want to tell you that physically, think about how balanced you are. Think about getting enough sleep. And literally, actually, for some of you, Spirit is showing you like chiropractic, like balance. Like, don't slouch. Be careful that you're not like leaning down on one shoulder is kind of what they're giving me specifically. I know that's oddly specific, but hey, Spirit gives me what somebody most needs to know. So maybe one of you can avoid some kind of injury or exacerbated issue by really checking yourself and making sure that your posture is good. So again, oddly literal, but I am feeling for a lot of you, they're talking about posture issues. That's just how much Spirit loves you. Okay. So, now let's look at your element, Gemini, what you're thinking, speaking, hearing, writing, communicating about. What's on your mind in the month of September? What does Gemini need to know or do about the mental realm for their highest good in September? Be honest with yourself and others, even if it's a little awkward. Speak your truth. Begin even if you don't feel ready. Speak even though your voice is shaking. That whole thing. Call out the naked emperor in your life shamelessly. However, I do want to also tell you, Gemini, don't be immature. Don't cut someone off in a conversation, in traffic, in the middle of a diatribe. Let people speak their piece. I do want you to speak your truth, and I do want you to call out naked emperors, but that doesn't mean you need to call them names. That doesn't mean you need to be cruel or careless or passive-aggressive, because, you know, you have a way with words and text. So think about the way that you communicate your honesty, but do be honest, even if it is a little bit of an awkward conversation. Just be sure that you are incorporating, you know, a little bit of patience, a little bit of, wait, let me, this phrase or sentence wants to fly out of my mouth or onto the screen, and I'm just going to think for a minute before I text them that or say that to them. I'm going to say, you know what, I need a minute to think about that, or you know what, I'll get back to you about that, and give yourself that time and space to do that, okay? Like they said, balance. And I do see you having some conversations, like I said. They did allude to the fact that some of you are cutting out team members or letting go of certain partnerships or maybe projects, and that may involve letting certain people know, like, hey, you know what, I'm out, so I'm sorry, this thing is dissolving or whatever. So be honest, but be kind and be patient. Be the bigger man. But I do feel that for some of you that's going to be a struggle. That's because that's what the Page of Swords is about, you know. Even the Queen and King can be brutal in their honesty, but they're a little bit more elegant sometimes. So just think about your phrasing a little bit. Okay, wow. Beautiful. Okay, so I was going to say, so what's going on emotionally? What does Gemini need to know for their highest good? You have the Wishes Coming True card. But it is the card of, you know, again, it kind of echoes that Six of Wands of you've had a victory, you've had a recent, like, I'm really feeling like a procession for some of you. So maybe even some of you have like recently walked a runway or been very publicly seen. So you've sipped from these cups that you know, worked hard to fill. And you can totally sit and enjoy the glory of that for a while. Like, that is a fabulous idea. Soak it in. However, after that, don't be complacent. Don't, like, coast. Because Gemini, you're an air sign. You're very intelligent. Again, jack of all trades. And you don't want to be master of none. You do want to master one or two things. And you're very capable of doing that. You've got a great mind. You've got, when you commit to something and when you want something, a great work ethic. So don't rest on your laurels. Enjoy the win, but then don't rest on your laurels. Don't be complacent. Get up, keep working, get ahead of the game. Get ahead of the game in September. That's what they're saying. Okay. And finally, let's look at what you need to know about creativity, your fiery aspect, your spirit, your gifts, even your challenges that light you on fire. What is lighting you up, Gemini? What does Gemini need to know for their highest good about September? Beautiful card. Okay, so again, these are general readings, Gemini. If you would like a one-on-one, my shop is linked below, like if this is evoking some questions and you want to go deeper. And I say that because I'm about to say that the Queen of Wands, they're telling me, for some of you, this is you. And for others of you, this is someone around you. And in all likelihood, both things are true, because court cards represent not only people, like actual characters in our little life story right now, people we know, but also qualities that we are meant to evoke, that those people come into our lives to kind of bring to light. And I'm feeling as if for a lot of you, there is somebody in your life who you see as extremely masterful and creative and like interesting, charismatic, confident, warm, like just a really naturally gifted and interesting, passionate woman. I can't remember because channeling is very one ear out the other. But if any of you remember that, if whether you've gotten this person before, please let me know in the comments. I feel like you have. So for some of you, this is like a wife. For some of you, this is a dear friend or a mentor. I'm saying she, but again, this could be male. But I do feel a very feminine energy, in the sense of this person is very incredibly, whatever they do, regardless, they're incredibly creative and they're quite naturally attractive and nurturing. Like, and when I say attractive, I mean in every sense of the word. Like, whether or not they're conventionally physically attractive, they definitely bring people and attract people very naturally just by virtue of being who they are. They have a glow. This person can help you with your creative venture. This is somebody who you consider to be someone who can kind of like make magic, like make things happen, is what Spirit is saying. So tap in. This person loves you. This is somebody close to you. If you just want some input and some guidance when it comes to like these decisions that you're making of what to let go and what to capitalize upon, tap into this person. If anything, this person can also be a very good like intermediary, a very good pre-audience to the conversation that you need to have. Like, bounce it off this person or bring up, how could I possibly put this in a good way for this person? This Queen of Wands character has natural gifts of, like, not only, you know, confidence and leadership, but also charm. So she also has a way of getting things across, even if they're not the happiest or most positive things. So remember, Gemini, that means you have all that potential. You have all of those gifts. It's just a matter of whether you want to go inside and open them up. It's your choice. That's the beautiful thing. You have everything set before you in September, so it's all about choosing your path and what is best for you. And of course, like I said, if you want any help and any personal guidance with that, definitely book a one-on-one with me. That is my favorite thing in the world. Okay, Gemini, I want to say thank you so much again for listening, and I hope this really helps you make the most of the month. Please let me know what you think, or if this is bringing up anything for you. I'd love to hear from you in the comments or on social media. I really appreciate you. I hope you have a wonderful month, and that I see you in my favorite month, October. Bye-bye, Gemini.